Hey, this is Jill Ciminillo with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and today I'm driving the Acura RDX. And what I want to do in this video is actually spend a lot of time in the interior, because I think this is where you see the greatest changes for 2022. Then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over this right here, and that's the infotainment system and the True Touchpad Interface. So we're going to go over the changes, we're going to look at this infotainment system, and then I will close it out with a couple of driving impressions. So let's take a closer look right now. Taking a quick look at the exterior of the RDX, you will see that there is a little bit of a wider grille, and these air vents are also different here on the front. Plus there is a different and new fog lamp configuration for the 2022 model year. So overall, the front end of the vehicle just looks a little bit more aggressive and sporty. Now this color is also new for the 2022 model year, and this vehicle that we are driving this week happens to be a new trim, which is the top tier trim with the A-Spec and the advanced package attached to it. So not too many changes on the exterior, but one more thing I will show you is on the back of the vehicle, and that is going to be the chrome tipped exhaust. So overall, not a lot of changes to the exterior. Really, where we see the big changes is on the inside. So let's take a look. Now, looking at the interior of the RDX, the biggest new thing you will notice is this interior. And while it looks like it is white and black, it is called orchid. So I can only assume that that means because it looks like the flower in orchid in white. I don't know, but this interior is new for 2022 and it is called orchid. I have to tell you, I'm not sure how I feel about it. The jury is still out because this material is so light, and I am fairly messy. I would spill coffee on this immediately, and wearing blue jeans, I would be afraid that I would get blue all over the interior. Plus, that armrest is also white. Just not sure how I feel about that. The good thing about this, it is an option. Now, the other thing that is going to be new for the 2022 model year is the availability of wireless charging. So you see the wireless charge pad right there, and you have USB-C charge ports. So there's a USB-C charge port there, and you have two USB-C charge ports in the back. You do have one, count it, one USB-A charge port, and that is going to be right here. So wireless charging is the big change. Also, you have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So I love the fact that you have your wireless charging there. It keeps your phone protected from the sun and out of reach. And then you can just wirelessly connect up here and use your CarPlay through the infotainment system. So those are going to be the big changes for 2022. Now let's dive into this thing right here. Now, the reason why I wanted to spend the bulk of my review on this right here is because I've really gotten a lot of questions and comments and concerns about this True Touchpad. And so I just wanted to spend a little time talking about it, going over it, and really going into a deep dive on how it works. So the first thing I'm going to point out, and I don't know if you can see this here at the bottom of the screen, but you have this little pad and you can rest your hand on there. I like that because it makes it easier for you as you are shifting and trying, or not shifting, but as you are trying to do anything with this touchpad, it makes everything really within fingers reach while you are doing it. And so a lot of manufacturers have switched to something like this because they don't want you to reach forward and touch the screen. They don't want you to take your eyes off the road. They want you to be able to just kind of maneuver this right here without really interacting with that right there. And we can argue the ins and outs and whether they're successful or whether this is a good idea or not. automakers are going to do what they're going to do until you speak out and you tell them whether you like this or not. So definitely comment below. I'm curious because a lot of RDX owners say that they love this, but a lot of people who have looked at an RDX or test driven an RDX are kind of scared off by it. So would love your feedback and comments about this system right here, but let's dig right into it. So this is called the True Touchpad, and the idea here is that you touch on this pad right here and it corresponds to something in this little screen here. So if I touch in the upper left hand corner, you can see the navigation lights up. You move over a little bit, it hits the phone. You move over a little bit, it hits Sirius XM. You move over a little bit, it hits FM. Now, you can also just slide your finger across the top, and frankly, while I'm driving, I found that that is the easiest thing, because trying to pick out one of these things while you're driving especially isn't as easy as they would have you think it is. So you've got this going on, and then you can go through some different screen menus like that. And then you have this over here. So you have this little split screen area that shows some things over here. Now, where I really find this super helpful is when you are in the Apple CarPlay environment. But before we go in there, let's just talk a little bit about these top menus here. So you can select what you have in your side slide right here. It allows you, it shows you what cards you've got in there, so that just kind of lets you see what's there. Then you have your home button, which wherever you are, like say you are on let's go to navigation. Say you're in navigation and you've got that loaded there and you just want to go back to your home menu, you hit this. And then you have your back button, which doesn't work when you're on your home menu, but if you were in something else. And so like the other night I was looking at settings. So if you go into your settings and you go into your system settings and you don't really want to be in there, you can hit the back button and it takes you back to your menu items. So that's what you have going on with these menus here. Now, all right, let's go into Apple CarPlay now, and I'm going to tell you that is where this system for me falls down. So again, you can use your True Touch system here. You know, I'm going to click the Apple CarPlay. The Apple CarPlay is active, but in order to do anything now in Apple CarPlay, it is 100% of a slide. And I particularly found this to be annoying when you are in Waze and you are trying to report something, or you're trying to activate something up here. Then you have to scroll through all of the menus in order for it to hit any of these things, and you have to wait for it to hit the blue, and yeah, it's really annoying. So I am going to point out that I am recording with my phone right now, which is also paired to the system. So that's why this looks like it's freezing up a little bit. It's not actually freezing up because of the system. It's just freezing up because I'm trying to do too many things with my phone. So that for me is where this falls down, is in Apple CarPlay. But what I do like about the split screen is you have the ability to scroll through some things over here, and if you wanted to change your music station, you click on that and then your music station pops up over here, and then you can easily, you know, make your changes and then swipe back through. So that much makes things easy, that you can switch between Apple CarPlay and the native system fairly easily. The home button also makes that fairly easy, and you can go between Apple CarPlay and your various native systems. So I don't know. The jury is still out for me on this system. I tend not to like things that you have to touch here in order to operate up here. The best systems for me are redundant, because I'll be honest with you, there are some things for me that I want to use the touchscreen for, but then there are some things that I actually want to use this for. So in Apple CarPlay, 100% of the time, I want to use the touchscreen. But sometimes with the native functions, it's easier to use this right here. So half a dozen one, six the other. But I am going to tell you the one thing that I really hate about this system, and that is going to be when you are trying to change your radio stations. You have a volume knob right here, but in order to switch between your channels and categories, it is all this. So I found myself, and then you're trying to like, oh, I need to go the other way. And so I'm here, and then I hit over here, and then I'm like, oh wait, it's there. So I did a lot of searching around and pecking around on here to figure out how to change the stations. And now maybe if you set up your favorites, that would make it easier. But okay, wait a minute. How do I move between my favorites? So I don't know. This system doesn't always work well for me for everything, and it would just be nice to be able to swipe through some of these favorites right there. So I really wish there was a redundant touchscreen going on, because again, some things work really well through this, but a lot of things are going to work better through that. And if they had a tuning knob, that would make things that much easier. And yeah, maybe I wouldn't hate this system so much. Hate is a strong word. Dislike. I dislike this system. It's not always super easy. So that is my deep dive for this. So again, I would really love your comments, your ideas on this. Do you like this touchpad system? If you're an owner, definitely chime in. I want to hear what you have to say. But yeah, I'm just very lukewarm on this. I want a redundant touchscreen. I'll say that again. I want a redundant touchscreen. Okay, let's talk about driving impressions. I just want to wrap this up with a few brief driving impressions, because I've spent a lot of time in this car. I drove to and from Indianapolis, and then I've been driving around Chicago. I've actually filled up the tank twice, and so yeah, I've spent a lot of time in this vehicle, and frankly, I really like how it drives. This is one of those SUVs that is probably one of the most car-like rides you will ever experience. So you've got the extra ride height and you've got the extra cargo volume in the back, yet this still drives more like a car than really pretty much any other SUV I have ever had the opportunity to drive. So I really like that. It's fun, it's zippy, and really didn't even feel like I needed to play around with the drive modes. Even though there is a sport mode in here, I really didn't need it, because on the normal and comfort modes, this does just fine. Accelerating onto the highway and also like passing in traffic, this does really well. And then when you're in tight city spaces, it's really maneuverable. Parallel parks easily because there's a nice around view camera, and it backs in and out of parking spaces and your garage with ease. So if I had to sum up the Acura RDX, I would say that the infotainment system probably needs a little bit of work and a little bit of help. I really want that redundant touchscreen. But in terms of ride and handling, I really don't think that you are going to find any SUV out there, except for maybe a Mazda. Mazda does a pretty good job. So except for maybe Mazda, you're not going to find another vehicle that is more of a car-like SUV. And I like all of those things. That's it. That is all I've got this week on the Acura RDX. So as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to check us out on the web at pickuptrucktalk.com, and I will see you down the road.